Hey, what's good, YouTube fam? This is your boy Joe the Juggernaut coming to you with my video series joining the Texas National Guard. Just giving y'all an update this week, man. So I know it's been a couple days, a couple weeks actually since I posted a video. But last time you guys were here, I was telling you about my big announcement. Decided to join the Texas Army National Guard, and something I've been really looking forward to for many years. And like I said, family decision. We're gonna go ahead and go forward with that. So. This week, or this video at least, what I wanted to focus in on was my journey so far. So last week I did tell you guys that I have 3 major obstacles that we're going to have to go against. Number one is I have knee surgery, right? So I had ACL replacement, and I do have to get a medical waiver for that. I do have a Class B misdemeanor on my record, so I do have to get a waiver for that as well. And then lastly, I am over the weight limit as of today. So I do have that obstacle as well. So give you a little bit of background. I have spoken to a recruiter over here in San Antonio, National Guard recruiter, who got the process started for me. So when I first started this whole idea that I wanted to join the National Guard, at least most recently, I was weighing in about 304, 306 pounds, somewhere right there. And obviously I know it's not going to cut it. And my body fat percentage was somewhere in the 30s. 34, 36, somewhere around there. I don't remember, but it's fat, you know what I'm saying? Fat. So first step was just starting to clean up the way I eat, cleaning my diet up, things that I ate. So, you know, on a normal basis, I was eating Whataburger for lunch, you know, 2-3 tacos from, you know, Las Palapas for breakfast, and then dinner was picking up pizza, doing all kind of fatty foods. Drinking maybe a soda a day, if that. You know, I wasn't big on soda, but definitely sweet tea. You know, in Texas, we got to have our tea. So it really wasn't a diet conducive to getting me to my goals. So that was the first step that I took, and started cleaning things up, and didn't do anything crazy, right? So none of this keto stuff or none of this Atkins, nothing really, just fad diet really trying to do. What I focused in on was just eating as whole as possible. But what I mean by whole is trying to eliminate processed foods as much as possible, trying to get rid of any fast food, anything fried, you know, stuff like that. So I had to start meal prepping and really just cutting out calories as much as possible, because really that's the only way that you're going to truly lose weight is having a caloric deficit. So that means that you're expending more calories that you take in a day. And that's where I started, you know, for breakfast, eating, you know, eggs and lean meats or oatmeal with a little, you know, tablespoon of honey and some fresh fruit mixed in there, or frozen fruit. And then for lunch, you know, some baked chicken or sauteed chicken. Again, as little salt as possible, just, you know, putting a couple things in there to make it flavorful. Rock's Discount Vitamins, so shout out to them. They got a ton of seasonings that you can put on your food that you're cooking, but, you know, lean chicken, lean beef, every now and then throwing a little bison for some extra protein, and usually, you know, about 8 to 10 ounces of meat. And then I'll have maybe a cup of vegetables. So really trying to up my vegetable and fruit intake. And then lastly, I'd have a little bit of carbs, right? So I'm working out consistently about 5 days a week, at least an hour at a time. And, you know, so carbs give you energy, just making sure that it's the right type of carbs. So trying to do some like whole grain brown rice, nothing processed, you know, maybe some sweet potatoes. That's really, I've been keeping it at, right? So cleaned up my diet. Started exercising about 5 days a week at minimum, trying to run, right? So when I started this journey, I couldn't run a mile straight. You know, I'd run maybe a quarter mile, half mile, and then stop for a little bit of a walk and then start running again. To date, I can run about 2 miles nonstop. So that's an accomplishment for me. Since I started the process, cleaning up my diet, exercising on a regular basis, I've dropped about 34 pounds. So I think the most recent weigh-in I had was maybe about 272 pounds. So I'm not going to make the weight limit requirement for the Army. I wouldn't make it for any service branch, because for my height at 5'9", my structure, I should be weighing 186 pounds, and I haven't weighed 186 since maybe my 8th grade year, you know, in middle school. I've just always have a real heavy body composition. And in high school, I think my senior year of high school, I was weighing 255. But I was a linebacker. I could still move. I could still push around a lot of weight. I was really solid. I've just always been really heavy. So my goal is to really get down to about 250 pounds. I think that's where I'll be in a good spot to join the military based on body fat. So most recent body fat assessment from my recruiter, I got to get down to 28% body fat. And I was sitting at about 32, if I'm not mistaken, 32, 33%. So again, still fat. But I'm getting there. I've leaned up in a lot of places. My love handles is where they measure you. They do the tape test to see if you make the body fat requirement. And that's currently where I have most of my fat. So unfortunately for men, that is usually the last place that we lose fat. So I'm looking forward to the next 10, 15 pounds where most of that weight should come off of my love handles. But that's where I am today, right? So I've lost about 32, 34 pounds, somewhere around there, and lost several inches around my entire body. A lot of body fat that I've lost. I could run 2 miles consistently. I did time myself on a 1 mile PT test for the Army, and I did get just over 10 minutes. Unfortunately, I didn't pace myself in the first 2 laps, and I kind of gassed out. I did have to run the last, walk a little bit of the last lap, and that's kind of what cost me. So anybody that knows about some of the Army PT standards, just to pass through to basic training at reception week, you do have to get a sub 10-minute mile. So we talk about that more a little bit later. But anyways, so just giving you a background, right? So I've cleaned up my diet, started exercising on a regular basis. I've lost definitely a lot of weight, increased my cardio. Really in a good spot there. My knee is strong, right? It's been strong since I had surgery. And so I'm not really worried about that. So I met with the recruiter. First visit didn't really do much for me. He just kind of said, well, you're over the weight limit, buddy. He did commit, though, to continue to process paperwork, continue to help me out and move things along. And by process paperwork, I mean my waivers. Before anything can happen, I got to get my waivers through. So he did commit to processing paperwork if I did show commitment in my workout routine and losing weight. So I went and saw him. I think I was sitting about 285, almost 290. And he did set, a follow-up. So we followed up maybe about 4 weeks later. And that's when I came in about 275. And so he was impressed, right? So he said, man, I can't tell you how many guys that come into this office say that they're going to lose weight and they're going to do this and do that. And, I follow up with them in a month and they've lost 5 pounds. He goes, so that for me is nothing that I don't see a commitment. I don't see an effort. He goes, so for you, talking about me, he said to go from 304 pounds to 275 is definitely showing commitment. So at that point, he went ahead and put all my information into their recruiting system. We're talking about name, date of birth, social, all that good stuff. And he started showing me some of the MOSs, so military occupational specialty, the jobs that I did qualify for, just preliminary based on the early conversations. And so one of the things he asked me is if I ever taken the ASVAB before, which is that's the aptitude service vocational battery, Armed Services vocational aptitude battery. That's what it is. So that's the test that you need to take in order to get into the military. The higher the score, the better the job selection that you have. So the last time I took it was probably about 8 or 9 years ago. I got a 96 on it. So that pretty much opened me up to anything, pretty much any job in the military, short of security clearance, right? So I told him that. So he pretty much showed me every occupational specialty that's offered in the Texas Army National Guard here, and what I qualify based upon, again, my background check. So that's another thing that I'm going to have to go through because of my Class B misdemeanor. So showed me every job and pretty much said, hey, man, keep up the good work. We're going to set up a 3-week follow-up and we'll see where you're at in 3 weeks, right? And so we did set up a 3-week follow-up. And unfortunately, my recruiter had to be at MEPS all day on that day. So he did end up canceling. That was about a week ago. And so we haven't really touched base yet. And I will tell you, if you're trying to join the military, you're going to get some good recruiters. You're going to get some poor recruiters. And by poor, I just mean poor organization. No, none of them are poor in terms of what they're doing for their country. What I mean by poor, some could use a little bit better organization skills. And you got to remember that when you're fighting against this uphill battle, when you have 2 or 3 waivers that you got to process, or you got weight to lose, recruiters will tend to give you a little bit less attention because for every one of you, there's 5 others that already meet the requirements. They just have to take the ASVAB and go to MEPS. So you got to understand, for them, they're trying to get people into the service and get recruited and get them all, serving their country, doing their dreams and all that good stuff. And when you got somebody that's ready to go tomorrow versus somebody that has to lose weight and maybe take 4 to 6 weeks, where their attention is going to be focused. So hound them, right? Text, call, do whatever you need to get a hold of them. Show them that you're committed. Show up to the office. Even if they're not there, you leave a sticky note with one of the other recruiters. Say, hey, Recruit Morales came in and he was checking in. Just want to see, what's going on, where we were in the process. So that for them tells them that you are definitely committed to joining the service, and you're really excited and motivated to do so. So I haven't reached out yet. Primary reason for that is just I've been working out and busy with school. I got midterms for some of my classes. And then I also have been just kind of working on my diet and stuff, just trying to get the weight down, right? So I know realistically I'm not ready to get processed, but I'm not going to let that deter me. I'm just going to continue working out and doing my thing, eating right, trying to keep losing that weight. And then eventually, if he hasn't reached out to me, then I'll reach back out and say, hey, Sergeant, I've lost, 10, 15 more pounds. Want to see when we get the next meeting together. And so that's where I'm at today, right? So already had the initial meeting, already had a follow-up meeting. I'm continuing to work on losing the weight. And the next meeting we're going to set up is it's either he's going to reach out or I'm going to get to the point where I say, hey, I've lost about 10 more pounds, 15 more pounds. I'm ready to get taped, see where I'm at. So that's the big thing. When I see him next time, he's going to tape me again. So they do a body fat check. They measure around your circumference of your neck, measure the circumference of your waist, and, they put it in. So an Army body fat calculator, and it kind of tells them where you're at. I do need 28% body fat to get in. By the time I graduate basic training, BCT, I do need to be at 26% max body fat, which I have no doubt I'll be. When you're in there, you're going to be PTing all the time. You can't have access to all these snacks and all this junk food that you have around, in the civilian world. So I'm not worried about that. I'll definitely be making that weight. So we're getting a little bit long now, about 12 minutes, but I just wanted to give you guys an update where I'm at, what the process is so far. And, I want you to continue to share and like this video. I know there's tons of people out there that are probably searching how to join the Texas National Guard and don't even know where to start. There's a bunch of videos about, AIT. There's a bunch of videos about the reserves. There's a bunch of videos out there about, just the regular Army, but not a whole lot about the Texas National Guard. I've seen them from different states, but not Texas. So my goal, again, is to kind of help some of you guys out there that don't know where to start, don't know where to even ask the questions. It's here, man. So I've done an extensive amount of research over the last 10 years. I'm currently going through the process right now with a lot of things that, again, I couldn't find on the internet, background waiver, medical waiver, weight requirements, all that good stuff. So ask questions, right? So you can ask in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer it. Even if you're not interested in joining, you just want to show some support, throw something in there in the comments. I want to get as much exposure as possible to try and get this video escalated. And again, I'll start putting a little bit more frequent videos together for everybody out there that's interested. So I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, comment, ask your questions, and I will definitely answer any of them on any of these videos. What I like to do is do my normal status updates and maybe answer some of your questions. And then I'm also going to throw some videos about questions that you might have, maybe an entire video on a specific topic. So I appreciate it. Thanks for your time today. Enjoy the rest of this fabulous Monday, and I'll see y'all soon.